Hey garden friends, it's Mel with Sucky Crafts, and in today's video I'm going to talk about what you should do when you overwater your succulent. So as you can see, I have this Haworthia star cactus. It's a retusa, and you can see the difference between the healthy one and the overwatered one. So the healthy one, it has that nice vibrant green to it, and you can tell that it's healthy right off the bat. But when you compare it to this, you'll notice you've overwatered your succulent when the leaves start to yellow. So as you can see, this succulent here is becoming translucent. So that is not its normal color at all. It is completely yellow, and it's starting to grow mold on the leaves, if you can see that. And you see these little leaves here, how they just kind of come off really easily. That's another sign of overwatering. So if I take this out of its pot, there's even a slug there. So yeah, slugs love to be in humid conditions. So this is definitely overwatered. The roots are starting to brown, so they're starting to rot. So what you should do is immediately start to clean this off. And I even have some really cool moss growing on the side there. Wow. So I'm just gonna start cleaning this off, because even though this might look dead, or it is actually dying, you can save it. There's still some hope. So this is kind of like a messy job, because you have to completely shake off all of that soil that it has. And that little slug, it's right there. Oh, you little guy. Don't want to kill him. But we're going to start cleaning off all of that soil from the roots. Kind of tease it with your fingers and start cleaning off all of those dead leaves around it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transplant it. So I'm going to get it out of that nursery pot, and you can tell that it was in that nursery pot a little too long, because it's even overgrown. It's just trying to grow more, and it's stunting it because it's been in there for a little too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm even going to cut a little bit from the roots there. So I'm just going to, it's just kind of like a cleanup. I'm gonna grab my scissors. I'm gonna trim all of that off because it's rotting anyways. I'm gonna try and get in between and get all of those rotting leaves, because if they stay in there, they'll keep on rotting and they'll start to rot the rest of the leaves. But succulents are resilient. They can take a whole lot, even if you overwater them, which is like a big no-no, because succulents store water in their leaves. So they don't need to be watered as often. They still need to be watered, but just not as frequent. So I've taken most of the rotted leaves from in between, and most of the soil there, it's pretty much cleaned up. And it looks like it was the ends of the roots were really starting to rot. But as I get closer to the base of them, they seem to be still doing okay. So it's not a completely lost cause. So you can always just wash it off completely, like under the sink, but I don't think it's really necessary. As long as you get all of that excess soil out of the way. I'm gonna kind of put this to the corner here. And what I would recommend you doing is not repotting it in a plastic, but repotting it in a terracotta, in a clay pot. I have a hypertufa pot, which is also a breathable material, and this is going to help out This is gonna help reset this star cactus here. I'm gonna use just new soil, new succulent soil. And it's a lot bigger than the original pot there. So it's gonna have some space to grow, and I'm just gonna nestle it right in. And I'm not gonna water it right away. I'm gonna leave it here for a few days, for about 3 days. And I'm just gonna kind of just let it sit and just kind of just be, you know, relieved from all that water that it was surrounded by. So I'm just gonna leave it here for a few days, like I said, and then I'll go ahead and water it. And I've learned my lesson. I'm not gonna overwater my Haworthias, because Haworthias, for instance, the thicker the leaf on your Haworthia, the less water it needs. And that's just like a little tip, a little pro tip. If your succulents have thinner leaves, then you have to water them more often because they don't store as much water in their thin leaves. So for instance, this one, it's very fleshy. The leaves store a lot of water. So you can get away with watering this plant once a month. So sooner or later, I think like in about a month or so, I'll start seeing signs of that regrowth of the green color, that normal, healthy color. But that's all there's to it. You don't have to give up on your succulent if you've overwatered it. All you have to do is clean it up, transplant it in a breathable material, whether it's hypertufa or terracotta. Keep it in there for a few days, give it a rest, and then go and re-water it, a nice deep watering, and then just leave it alone. Because the succulent, it gives you signs when it's thirsty. It'll start to wrinkle, it'll start to shrink. And that's when you know, oh, I need to water it. But if you're never, if you're unsure of when to water your succulent, use a moisture meter. That's the best tool in the garden. So I hope you learned something new, and I hope that if you do have an overwatered succulent, you go out there and you try to save it instead of just chucking it away. Give it a chance. They're stronger than you think. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, bye garden friends. Oh hey, you're still here. So while I tend to my garden, why don't you hit the subscribe so we can keep in touch.